Hello and welcome to all the viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Circle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Obong Osoro. A quick reminder, Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. The Independent National Electoral Commission says it will review the Electoral Act 2026 in order to comply with the laws as regards schedule for the 2027 elections. Adedayo Oketola, the Chief Press Secretary and Media Advisor to INEC Chairman, Professor Juaja Mopito, says the Commission would release a revised timetable. Oketola, who did not specify the date for the release, said INEC is committed to abiding by the laws of the land. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has begun releasing results of the Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections. The All Progressive Congress won 4 of the 6 chairmanship seats in the FCT Area Council elections, securing victories in Amak, Bwari, Abaji, and Kwali, while the People's Democratic Party claimed Gwagwalada. According to INEC's declared results in Amak, incumbent Christopher Maikalaku polled 40,295 votes to retain his seat, while Joshua Ishaku won Bwari with 18,466 votes. The outcome leaves Kuje pending as coalition continues in the remaining councils. INEC official says the results reflect votes cast across accredited polling units with turnouts specifically below the numbers of registered voters. Meanwhile, the All Progressive Congress has won the Kuje Area Council chairmanship elections, with its candidate Danjuma Shekwolo emerging victorious in the Federal Capital Territory poll. Declaring the outcome, returning officer Professor Nkiruka Odo of the University of Abuja says Shekwolo have secured the highest number of votes and met all equal requirements, was duly elected and returned as chairman of Kuje Area Council. According to the official results, Shekwolo polled 17,269 votes. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Zakwoye Danlami, polled 15,824 votes, while the candidate of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, Abdullami Galadima, polled 4,304 votes. President Bola Tinubu has congratulated winners of the FCT Council elections and by-elections in Kano and Rivers States, urging them to treat their mandates as a sacred trust. According to a statement by presidential spokesperson Bayo Nanuga, the APC secured victories in 4 FCT councils, both in Rivers State's by-elections, while PDP won in Gwagwalada. The president also commended party leadership and stakeholders, including the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, for their roles in the electoral process. Election Observer Group, Younger Africa, says the FCT Area Council elections were largely peaceful, with early deployment of officials and improved voter accreditation in many polling units. However, the group notes that late arrival of materials and pockets of voter apathy were recorded in some areas. Anyete Patrick reports.
The Watching the Vote initiative of Yaga Africa deployed observers across polling units in the 6 area councils of the Federal Capital Territory to independently assess the conduct of the elections. In its preliminary findings, the civil organization reports that most polling units opened within the stipulated time, with electoral officials and materials present in many locations before voting commenced. The group commended the use of the bimodal voter accreditation system, noting that accreditation generally proceeded smoothly with minimal technical disruptions recorded.
The voter register was not initially deployed until voters raised concerns and voters objected in some polling units, and we provided at least one polling unit in PU 004 Wuse Ward and Zone 2 Primary School. Other essential voting materials like voting cubicles were not seen in a couple of polling units, which we highlight in our statement. Also, materials such as ink pad were also not seen in the polling units.
However, Yaga Africa highlighted cases of delayed opening of polls in some areas due to late arrival of materials. It also observed low voter turnout in several polling units, attributing it partly to voter apathy and logistical constraints. The group further called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to address identified gaps before subsequent elections, particularly in strengthening logistics and enhancing voter education.
where they've been reallocated. For security agencies, YAGA Africa calls on security agencies to ensure that their personnel conduct themselves with the highest level of professionalism. We note the level of security deployments in this election to a large extent constituted difficulties and challenges for observers who wanted to access the polling units to observe. And so we call on the security agencies to discharge their duties, especially as collation will soon commence, with some and the highest degree of impartiality, professionalism, and excellence.
YAGA Africa reaffirmed its commitment to promoting electoral integrity and urged stakeholders to uphold democratic principles as results are collated and announced. Anietsi Patrick reported for Global TV News.
Still on electoral matters, in Kano, the All Progressive Congress has won Ugongo and Kano Municipal State Assembly by-elections held on Saturday. The returning officer, Professor Ibrahim Tajo Zira, announced the result and declared Danije duly elected. In Kano Municipal Constituency, the APC candidate, Aliyu Nabil Danaji, pulled 4,784 votes to secure the seat and will represent the constituency in the Kano State House of Assembly. The National Assembly has outlined major reforms contained in the newly enacted Electoral Act 2026, introducing mandatory electronic transmission of results, compulsory use of bimodal voter accreditation system (BVAS), and digital membership register for political parties as part of efforts to strengthen Nigeria's electoral integrity. In a statement issued by its Directorate of Media and Public Affairs, Senate Leader Opeyemi Bamidele said the legislation was the outcome of 2 years of consultations with key stakeholders, including the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, civil society organizations, and development partners. Bamidele stressed that the law was a collective effort designed to reflect national consensus. The bill was harmonized by both chambers of the National Assembly and signed into law by Bola Tinubu within 24 hours, a move aimed at preventing a constitutional crisis ahead of the 2027 general elections. Suspected bandits have reportedly demanded 100 million naira from Islamic clerics in Ngaski, local government area of Kebbi State, threatening consequences if the levy was not paid. The demand follows recent deadly attacks in parts of the state allegedly led to Akwara bandits, deepening tensions among residents. The Kebbi State government says it has reinforced security in the area on the directive of Governor Nasri Idris, with additional police personnel deployed to prevent future attacks. Meanwhile, troops of Operation Fansa Yama of the Nigerian Army have neutralized several suspected terrorist elements following a failed attack in Danki Kowa community of Kebbi State. A counterinsurgency and security expert in the Lake Chad region, Zakazola Makama, disclosed this in a post on X. Makama stated that the armed group attempted to raid a local market in the early hours and block the major access road into the community to facilitate their operations. 2 teenage herders were killed while grazing cattle near Druel village in Rayom local government area of Plateau State. The chairman of the Yeti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria in the state said the victims were attacked while grazing cattle. Yeti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria condemned the killing as unprovoked, noting that they occurred less than 48 hours after another ambush in Bakin Ladi that claimed the lives of 3 herders. The Katsina State government has announced the rescue of 21 kidnapped victims during a joint security operation at the Gaza Hills in Damuzu local government area of the state. In a statement issued by the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Nazir Mwazu, the government said the intelligence-led operation was spearheaded by the Department of State Services in collaboration with the Nigerian Army the Nigerian Police Force, and the Community Watch Corps. 4 suspects were arrested and are currently undergoing investigations. According to the statements, the rescued victims comprise 16 women, 2 men, 3 babies abducted from Gakin Sakin, Bayaro village in Musawa local government areas and other locations. The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening collaboration with the Catholic Church to advance national development, peace, and social cohesion. The pledge was made by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, in a goodwill message delivered to the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria during its first plenary meeting of 2026 in Abuja. This was contained in a statement issued via X by the Special Advisor Media and Publicity to the Federation, Yomi Odunuga, describing the plenary as a significant moment of reflection and pastoral direction for both the Church and the nation. You're watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. News Cycle continues after this weather forecast. We'll come back with business, foreign, and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please, do stay with us.
Hello and welcome. Over the next 24 hours, visibility is expected to gradually improve across most parts of the country. However, slight dust haze will persist over much of the northern and central region. In Borno and Yobe states, moderate dust haze may reduce horizontal visibility to between 2 and 5 kilometers. Residents in these areas are advised to take necessary precautions. Meanwhile, moisture continues to dominate the southern region of the country, supporting partly cloudy skies. Inland cities may experience slight haziness along the coast, including parts of Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, some parts of Edo Delta, Ondo, Ogun, Lagos State. There is a good chance of isolated thunderstorms. Coastal residents should stay alert for rain showers and possible lightning. And that's your weather outlook for Monday. Stay informed and stay safe. I am Joyce Ogunleye, and I'll see you again.
Welcome back from that break. Now let's go to business. The federal government has formalized the launch of a $50 million Impact Innovation Fund to support Nigerian startups tackling critical social challenges, following the agreement signed between the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority and the Japan International Cooperation Agency. The signing ceremony, held at the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning in Abuja, covered the grants contract for the project for the development of supporting environments for startups addressing social challenges. Under the arrangement, the Japan agency will provide $14 million in grant support, while the NSIA will contribute to the $20 million to match the grants as part of the $50 million Impact Innovation Fund. The fund is structured as an onshore public vehicle and will combine financial support with technical assistance to help startups refine products, scale operations, and expand into new markets. The federal government is considering staggered revenue distributions and the creation of the fiscal buffers as part of strategies to prevent a surge in public sector liquidity from fueling inflation. As sweeping oil and tax reforms begin to lift inflows into the Federation account, speaking at the latest meeting of the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FASC, in Abuja, Doris Uzoka Anite, Minister of State for Finance, said structural challenges to petroleum revenue management and the newly implemented tax measures are expected to materially strengthen monthly allocation to federal, state, and local governments. But she cautioned that higher revenue, if contributed at once, could destabilize the macroeconomic environment. The reforms include the Presidential Executive Order on February 13, 2026 that mandates the full remittance of oil revenue into the Federation account. suspends certain management fees and allocation previously deducted at source, and directs that gas flare penalties be paid directly into the common pool shared by the three tiers of government. US President Donald Trump has announced plans to raise a proposed global imports tariff from 10% to 15% after the US Supreme Court blocked its earlier mechanism for imposing sweeping trade levies. The move invokes an alternative trade provision that allows temporary tariffs for up to 5 months without immediate congressional approval. The decision deepens market uncertainty as Washington seeks to preserve its trade agenda following the court's 6-3 ruling against the use of emergency powers. Let's go to the foreign scene now. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has held talks with the RSF commander Mohamed Hama Dangolo in Entebbe, focusing on ending Sudan's nearly 3-year civil war and restoring regional stability. Museveni emphasized inclusive dialogue over military victory and reaffirmed the need for African-led solutions as the African Union pushes for direct negotiations between the warring sides. The conflict between the RSF and the Sudanese army has killed thousands, displaced millions, and triggered one of the worst world humanitarian crises, with ceasefires efforts repeatedly collapsing. European Union Commissioner Hadja Habib has described the humanitarian crisis in Goma, Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, as catastrophic during a regional tour of the Great Lakes. The visit, the European delegation to Goma, marks the first visit since the M23 and AFC rebels seized the country in January of 2025. Labib warned of growing violations of international humanitarian law and met with the Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi and Rwanda's President Paul Kagame. In Goma, she also held talks with the M23 and AFC representatives, noting signs that the group may be open to dialogue and also a ceasefire, as reports indicate that the rebels agreed to release some of their detainees. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has declared that Tehran will not bow to any foreign pressure as tensions escalate with talks with the United States over stalled nuclear talks. The United States is expanding its military presence in the region, while President Donald Trump says he is considering limiting strikes to push Iran towards a deal. Negotiations have hit a deadlock over uranium engagement, missile developments, and sanction reliefs, despite Iran maintaining that its nuclear program is for peaceful purpose. Tehran's top diplomat, however, says a proposed agreement could be ready within days. Let's go to sports now. Nigerian-born athlete Gerard Ejiasi has broken the under-18 world record in the 60-meter hurdles, clocking 7.43 seconds at the French under-18 and under-20 championship in Rio de Janeiro. The 16-year-old eclipsed the previous record set by Shaza Yoa, marking a significant milestone in his rapidly rising career. Ejiasian, who has represented Nigeria in youth competitions, continued to attract attention following multiple record-breaking performances. Mikel Arteta has told his Arsenal FC players to handle the pressure of the Premier League title race or consider leaving the club, as criticisms mount over their recent drop of points. The Gunners remain narrowly ahead of standings but have seen their advantage shrink after a series of inconsistent results. Arteta dismissed suggestions that his sides are bottlers, insisting that scrutiny is part of competing at even the highest level. And that's it on News Circle. A quick reminder, Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now on your screen using @GlobalTVNG. I am Ubon Musoro. Bye for now. Thank you.